What up, world? Welcome back to Dog Talk. I'm your host, Sporty Black, aka the most interested Georgia Bulldog fan in the universe. And today, we're going to talk about the preseason rankings. So, today, the AP poll put out their preseason rankings, top 25 rankings, and the Georgia Bulldogs came in ranked number three team in college football behind Alabama and Clemson. Who was ranked number one and number two respectively. So, Kirby Smart, our coach, he don't like to get caught up in all the preseason hype, the rankings, and all of that because to him it really don't mean a lot, especially if you lose one game. All that. You go back down. You're not up there no more, right? With me and the rest of the fans, we like to look at the rankings as bragging rights, so to speak. But at the same time, the main and most important ranking is the final college football playoff rankings to determine what four teams make the playoff. And that's the only ranking that really matters, other than the final ranking at the end of the year, right? But the thing about the preseason ranking, it kind of give you a guideline, so to speak, of what teams has the best chance to get to the playoffs, and also the advantages of starting in the top four, such as Georgia starting at number three, right? Because, for instance, if you started deep down, let's say last year we started at number 15, it took us a while to work our way up there. Luckily, we had the big win at Notre Dame, and then when Notre Dame kept winning, people was like, "Damn, Notre Dame was a good team." So that made Georgia win against Notre Dame a bigger win. Every time Notre Dame won, it made that win against Notre Dame just a bigger win for Georgia. And before you knew it, we was ranked number one in the first college football playoff polls, right? Because we was undefeated at the time and we had the best win, which was the win at South Bend, right? So this year we don't have a big time non-conference game on our schedule. We don't really have super big games on our schedule, not unless you want to count at LSU and the Auburn game. Other than that, we people expecting us to win all the rest of the games anyway, just off the talent gap we have against some of these other teams, right? But we all know football in the SEC is every week is you got to come out and bring it, right? And with this young talent and young core that Georgia has, with the veteran leadership graduated, or either gone on to the NFL, it's gonna be. I feel like this year is gonna be a lot more closer games. I still feel like we will have just as good a season this year, if not better. But I don't think the margin of victory is gonna resemble the margin of victory of last year's team. I think we're gonna be in a lot of more closer, more competitive games this year, right? So with the absence of a major non-conference game on our schedule, I mean, we play cupcakes. I mean, we play UMass. I'd rather play Boston College before I play UMass. You feel what I'm saying? We play Middle Tennessee. I'd rather play Memphis, Tennessee. And then we play the first game, Austin P. I don't even know where that's at. I mean, but I would have rather played Wake Forest or Duke or somebody in the Power Five. That's just me, honestly, right? Because I know when it come down to the end of the year, and you comparing these teams, and a lot of these team resumes resemble each other, and you can't really tell what team is better based off the eyeball test. They're going to get into the analytic metrics of strength of schedule, non-conference strength of schedule, and our non-conference strength of schedule is just it's abysmal. So we actually need this top five ranking coming out the gate because all we have to do now is just keep winning. Long we stay in that top four, or top five, we always in the discussion. You know what I'm saying? So we'll always have our chance to make our big move at the end of the year. So I'm excited about starting out at number three. Other news, the AP also announced their All-American team. And shout out to Georgia cornerback DeAndre Baker, the senior. He came out first team All-American preseason at cornerback. You know, that's a big deal. I can't remember the last time I seen that, other than maybe a Champ Bailey at the University of Georgia. Um, and he's also on the Thorpe watch list. That's for the best defensive back in America. Him and JRE are both on that list. So I think that's a big deal. Shout out to Rodrigo Blankenship for making the preseason All American team as a kicker, right? So that's a big deal as well for Hot Rod. You know what I mean? Hot Rod went from being a walk on to now one of the best kickers in college football. You know, and he's on the junior. You know what I mean? So the future is bright for Rodrigo Blankenship. You know, hats off to him. And I think that says a lot about Georgia as a program. If you think about like last year, everybody familiar with the major run that they had to the national championship game and all of that. But we had Roquan Smith win the Buckus Award. He was a unanimous All American all across the board, but he also won the Buckus Award, the first one at the University of Georgia, right? So now, if we could follow that up with, let's say, if DeAndre Baker or J.R.E. could win the Thorpe Award, or if Rodrigo could win the Lou Grosso Award for kicker, the best kicker, either or, God forbid we win both, but just to to start getting these major recognition from these award individual accolade in such a team sport, I think it just really helped Georgia on the recruiting trail. You know, as they try to recruit kids from, not only within the state of Georgia, but all over America. You got different things to sell them when they come to the facility. Like, yeah, last year we had this player win this award. That player the year before won that award. You know what I mean? So I think it's a good look for Georgia overall, for a national appeal standpoint. So Kirby Smart definitely has the program going in the right trajectory, and all signs is pointing up for the University of Georgia, and I'm just excited, just as well as all the rest of you out there, for September the 1st. But I'm gonna tell you something very interesting. um, I was on the site, and I see the number 12, and I was trying to remember who was number 12 on the roster, and it was Tommy Bush, the four-star receiver, freshman that we got this year, right? And we got so much talent, especially at the wide receiver group, that I totally forgot all about. We recruited Tommy Bush. I forgot that we got him in the program. I really actually forgot. So that just goes to show how much depth is at that receiver. It's so much depth in that receiving room. It's like, I don't really know how do you manage all of that depth. I mean, so you got to have a lot of great coaching going on, because there's only so many receivers that can be utilized in the course of a game. So if you got 10 wide receivers on the roster, how do you get all of these guys? How do you give all of them roles? And how do you keep these guys motivated? How do you keep them from transferring out to go play at other places? And the fact that everybody is buying in, it's just a big tribute to the coaching job that Kirby Smart and his staff is doing. I mean, if you even just look at the tight ends, right? Last year, SEC championship season, we had guys like Isaac Nada, Charlie Warner. Well, these are great, big-time potential NFL tight ends, and they both caught like single-digit catches for the year. Especially for Isaac Nada, because the year before his freshman year, he was a freshman All-American. He caught like 27 balls. To go from 27 to 9, you know what I mean? That's a major drop-off, but he actually bought into the system in which Georgia was running, and he became a better blocking tight end, run blocking tight end, pass blocking tight end, and actually, I think that in itself will actually help him going forward if he chooses to come out early this year and go to the NFL. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a um, high prospect as at the tight end position in the NFL draft, whether it's this year or next year. And I think that his blocking, is gonna help take him to that next level, man. So just to get them guys to buy in to everything, to the philosophy, get some of these wide receivers, man, to just buy in to playing a role like on special teams. You know what I'm saying? Like Tyler Simmons, the biggest play he made all last year. To a lot of people when we blocked the kick against Alabama, but they said he was offside. But just players like that are great players that came in highly touted, but when they get to Georgia, so much talent around, they will swallow their pride just to take on a small role for the team in hopes that in the future their role will get bigger and bigger. So I just think that's a remarkable job that the coaching staff is doing with getting these young kids to buy into the total team aspect of football and trying to accomplish the one goal, the common goal, which is to win a championship. And that is all about winning one game at a time. So each game is totally dependent on each practice. You know what I mean? So the total philosophy and the culture change that Kirby Smart has implemented at the University of Georgia is just, man, it's breathtaking, man. And this is a breath of fresh air. And that's exactly what Georgia needed, because there was a lot of stagnation under Coach Mark Richt. Although he was a great coach, and I wish him, much continued success at the University of Miami. But I can't lie, man. I am very glad to have Kirby Smart at the helm. And Kirby, we trust. But I'm Shorty Black. That's all I got to say for now. Stay tuned in. Hit that subscribe button for the latest and greatest news about the Georgia Bulldogs. And, we're getting closer and closer to September the 1st, y'all. Other than that, that's all I got to say. Go Dogs.